All right, everyone. Welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate, Aaron, and Archie are here with you. As we went to our break, Kyle decided he's a big man, so he needed some fast food. So he'll be back when he can. He'll be back in the show. But we are going to be discussing, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to speak for you guys. The last time we did one of these, the Pro Wrestling Torch Awards, we did 97, which is my favorite year in pro wrestling history. And one of my other favorite years in pro wrestling history is 1992. And
it's up there for me.
Okay. We're going to discuss the Pro Wrestling Torch Newsletter Awards for 1992. And then, of course, our suggestions or our picks for these different categories. And let's start with the Pro Wrestling Porch.
Here's Sparky. Sparky.
That's going to be my newsletter.
The Pro Wrestling Porch, I think is isn't that Midwest Independent Star Tom Stevie's
yes, it is.
Podcast.
Inside joke, folks. And Kyle is with us now.
Great Scott.
Great Scott.
Did you bring me my Baconator boy?
Marty, there's something wrong with your kids. I think pro wrestling today is actually good.
And they're trying to cancel Eminem and Mr. Potato Head.
So here we go. Kyle, like I explained to the guys, what we will do is I will give the award here for 1992 for the Pro Wrestling Torch Newsletter year-end awards, and you guys we'll all give our picks for who we thought should have won the award for that year.
Okay. Kyle didn't make a list, so
he can come off the top.
He can work on a fly here.
Yeah.
So the first award for 1992 for the Pro Wrestling Torch year-end awards is MVP of 1992. And before I give what the readers of the Torch went with, let me go here. We'll start first with Archie. Who is your MVP for 1992?
It's got to be the Nature Boy. In my opinion, Ric Flair in 92, having came into the WWF, led on every category, and he fired on all cylinders, whether it was a promo, a match with Jumping Jim Powers, or, being in the main event of WrestleMania. Didn't matter.
Aaron?
Bret Hart.
Okay.
Bret Hart was, in my opinion, probably the best wrestler in North America in 1992. I know that's probably saying a lot, but in my opinion, that's the way it was. And I think that in 92, Bret became Bret, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Kyle, what would you say? Who was the MVP of 1992? Not necessarily best wrestler, but just the MVP, the most valuable player in 92.
In 1992, you know what? There's a great Bret Hart, but I got Ric Flair as well.
Kyle is also going with Ric Flair, and I can see why you'd say that. Now, mine, to be honest with you guys, I have a different pick than everybody else.
Okay.
I went with Randy Savage for 1992.
Okay, still a good pick.
He had a very solid. He had a very solid year. Finished up his feud with Jake Roberts. Had a great match at WrestleMania with Flair. We'll get to that later. He even pulled a good match out of the Warrior at SummerSlam that year.
Yep.
And then just in general, I think Randy had a great year in 92. Here's who the Torch readers picked for MVP of 1992.
Can I take a guess?
Sure.
Is it Sting?
No, Sting's not here. Sting's not here.
Some Japanese guy?
No.
Okay.
Number three was Bret Hart.
Okay.
Number 2 was Rick Rude, who I think had a super 1992.
He did.
And number 1 was Ric Flair.
Woo!
But yeah, I mean, you can't argue.
People can be wrong sometimes. It's okay.
You can't argue with the Royal Rumble 92 for Flair. Well, we'll get into the matches and stuff later. The MVP one, I don't want to dig into it too much because it'll kind of spoil our opinions for the rest of the awards. So let's just roll on to best wrestler, best overall wrestler of 1992. Archie, start us off.
Well, I said this in the beginning part of the show that a lot of my list was kind of biased.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I went with Ric Flair because, as I said about with the MVP, he was getting good matches out of everybody he was in the ring with at this time. Whether it was Jim Powers on an episode of Superstars, whether it was Jim Neidhart, which Neidhart was a great talent. I'm not, putting anything past him.
Right.
But Ric Flair was the end-all be-all of the WWE at this time, considering you had guys like Randy Savage, Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, Jake Roberts. Flair was always at the front of the card. So I go with Flair for best wrestler.
And, some of the performances that I'm just going to say it. He was also my draw for best wrestler of the year.
Yes.
But some of the performances that match at WrestleMania 8 with Randy Savage.
They told a story, boy. It was awesome.
Absolutely. Also, getting to Saskatoon. Aaron was talking about when this is the year Bret became Bret. That Saskatoon match is fantastic.
Yep.
And like Archie said, Flair, when he got in the ring with anybody in the WWF, from the lowliest jobber to the main eventer.
Yep.
Other than the matches he had with Hogan, apparently in Oakland, that sucked.
Right. That was on our house show. Thank God we never got to see him.
Yeah. Aaron, who was your pick for best wrestler of 1992?
Bret Hart. I kind of spoiled it when I said that I thought Bret was doing the best work in 92. Bret was the man in 92, man. Like, he was having great matches with everybody. I mean, Flair was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but you're saying like, oh well, Flair had this match in Oakland with Hogan, and it was kind of a turkey and this, that, and the other thing. But fucking Bret was on fire in '92, and little kid me was just like, oh, fucking Bret's the man.
Yeah, I mean, you had Bret,
and he had a great Intercontinental run in '92, and he
had the big match with Piper, the great match with Piper at WrestleMania 8.
He did.
The match with Davey Boy at SummerSlam.
Hell, even his matches with the Mountie were good.
Well, I mean, he even has on the pretty much. Other than when it was resurrected in 2008 or whatever, on the last Saturday night's main event in '92, he had a really, really good match with Papa Shango.
Yep.
Yeah. Bret and Shawn at fucking Survivor Series.
Yeah.
The forgotten Survivor Series, like the weirdest Survivor Series in the history of Survivor Series. Bret and Shawn, man, fucking, they saved that fucking turkey. That's one of the worst pay-per-views ever broadcast. They fucking saved it.
Kyle, go ahead, Archie.
It's easy to say neither one of them were having sunny days just yet.
Oh. Kyle, who would be your pick for best wrestler of 1992?
I'm going to go with Bret Hart, and I know I said the MVP is Flair.
Right. Well, and the MVP and the best wrestler aren't necessarily going to be the same guy.
No, but
there's years where Hulk Hogan would be the MVP, but he was not definitely the best wrestler.
Right.
Rick, how do I want to put this? Ric Flair, because of the Royal Rumble and everything, I personally think that he made the Royal Rumble special.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can say what you want to say about WrestleMania 7, or not 7, 8, that it's, really psycho-sid or...
I love WrestleMania 8.
I do too.
But here's the thing, like, for all intents and purposes, that was the title match. Ric Flair versus Randy Savage.
Should have been the main event.
But Bret Hart, overall, throughout the entire year, I mean, you look at SummerSlam, you look at just anything, as Aaron said, Aaron eloquently put, Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say Flair was on the downspin of his career, but Bret was definitely on the ups.
Oh, without a doubt.
So here's what the Torch readers voted for best wrestler of 1992. Number 3, Shawn Michaels. Coming on up, Shawn Michaels. Number 2, Bret Hart. And number 1, Ric Flair.
Woo!
All right, so the best heel of 1992, Archie?
I'm going to be going with Rick Rude this time around. Ravishing Rick Rude in 92. Battles with Steamboat, Rhodes, Sting, Wyndham, Pillman, and just all around his body of work in WCW, but 92 especially. Rick Rude, in my opinion, was the best heel ever.
And I will set him at that emotion emotion that Archie gave, because that was my pick. Rick Rude in 92. Part of me feels like the reason that it was so great was because when Rick went there, he wasn't just going there to go there. He was going there and
to take over.
And to take over. And also he wanted to go there and basically give a fuck you to like Vince McMahon or Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
I think he wanted to go into that fucking company and be like, you know what? You guys don't think that I'm good enough to be the tippy top guy. I'm gonna go in here and fucking show you what you lost.
And night one, he showed that.
And in 91, he showed up in like October, so he didn't have like a lot of time to do it. But 92, man, that fucking
he
feud
exploded.
That feud with him and Steamboat and whatnot, it's fucking fantastic.
Beach Blast, that match gives me chills that they had at Beach Blast.
And what I will say on this, and he wasn't my pick, but he would definitely be up there for that year. What I will also say on this is, I don't know, and to what Aaron was kind of saying about Rude coming in wanting to prove, look, I'm the fucking man, okay? This is Rick Rude's 91 to 93, 94 WCW run is the best of his career.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, here's where it really comes down to it, okay? Not only the work in the ring, but I want anybody that's an old school wrestling fan to go back, look at think about Rick Rude in Dallas, all right? He was in shape, but he was skinny with a big head, okay? Yep. And then go to Rick Rude in the WWF. He was in shape, but he looked almost too in shape, if that makes sense.
A little sickly. He looked sick, but in shape. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. Rick Rude in WCW from 91 to 93, 94 was in the best real shape of his career. He looks so good, and he works so good.
And his character was different too. Like his character wasn't like he did like the hip swivel thing,
right,
and the kiss and everything like that.
Well, I mean, you got to get
his character in WCW wasn't like, oh, I'm the sexiest. I mean, he was like, I'm a sexy guy, but it wasn't like I'm the sexiest man in the. His character in WCW was, I'm a good looking dude, but I'm gonna beat your ass.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I am an ass kicking son of a bitch, and I'm not just some good-looking guy. I'm a fucking man. You know what I mean?
The Chippendale dancer. He left the Chippendale dancer into WWF, and he came here to be a badass, and he was. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he debuted at Halloween Havoc as the Halloween Havoc Phantom, and right from the get, he cut a promo and then went in the ring and beat somebody's ass in 5 minutes. So he was, like Aaron said, he was there to prove Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan wrong, and he did.
Kyle? Best heel of 1992.
All right, so I'm gonna preface this by saying yes, I agree that it's Rick Rude.
Hey, good job, Nate. Who you got? I'm kidding, buddy.
Wait, hang on just a second. But Rick Rude is still, at the time, even though he's a heel and he's a hated wrestler, he's still like that cool, like still the fans, like,
of course,
the smart. You want to talk about heel? In my opinion, now, like I said, I'm prefacing this with saying I agree with Rick Rude. I'm saying actual heel. people everyone fucking hates, it's fucking IRS.
Oh,
Not
that's
a horrible choice.
That's a. I mean, it's an out of the box choice.
Right.
Because think about it. Because like with Rick Rude, you still had those people cheering for him. You had the fans that the ladies who loved him.
His diehards, right?
IRS is hated by everybody. Like all you fucking tax cheats and
Was the tie.
So my pick for heel
Was definitely the tie.
My pick for best heel of 92. Personally, I'm a big fan of monster heels, so I got to go with Vader.
Okay.
Because in 92, Vader had a really good year, and Vader, to me, personally, although there may at some points in their careers be monster heels that I guess I like better, the reason that I love Vader and Bam Bam as my two favorite monster heels ever is because they're monster heels who are even more of a monster because they can fucking wrestle.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can bring it in the ring. And I just think, Vader had great matches with Sting in 92, Ron Simmons in 92. Overall, just a great year. He's my pick for heel.
It's a good pick.
Now, here's what the torch readers said. Number 3, my guy, Mr. Vader. Number 2, Ric Flair. And number 1, the consensus, I think, between Archie and Aaron, Rick Rude. Wins out 1992.
I'm 3 for 3.
All right. Archie, who was the best babyface of 1992?
In my opinion, there's no doubt it has to be Sting for 92.
He had a great year.
Sting was the flag bearer for WCW through and through. He was the next in line to take the belt off Flair, and then Flair left, and he got stuck with, a feud with Lex Luger, which was still a good feud when Luger attacked him at the Clash and hurt his leg. And then he had to wrestle Rick Rude for the United States title with a bum knee, and but Sting was always the baby face in peril and the main guy for WCW when it came to being a face. So,
Aaron,
that was my selection as well, was Sting, and the reason being is that Sting was the best baby face because, like Archie said, he was like the face of WCW.
Right.
Like WWE or WWF, like Savage is great, 92, but they never completely got rid of like Hogan. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they never pushed Hogan away, and Brett was up there and everything like that. But in WCW, it was this is our guy. Sting,
right.
Sting. Like to me, Sting was the premier babyface in '92 because it was him. You know what I mean? Like this
when
is
they
our
did a
guy.
Thunderdome or they needed an 8-man team, it was always Team Sting. It was never anybody else taking the lead. So
yeah,
Kyle,
I'm gonna have to go with Sting as well.
it is a general consensus because I also went with Sting, and I almost went Savage, but then I kind of fell. Actually, as I was thinking about it, I actually fell before I made my picks. I didn't even look. You know what I mean? I didn't want to look at the Torch Awards.
Yeah,
and because you want to think about it on your own and have your own thought process.
Right.
You don't want to be influenced by what you see.
I'm finding out now when you're telling me who was the winner. So
I kind of fell into the same thought you guys did in that. Although Randy was probably my personal favorite babyface of the year.
Right.
If I'm saying best babyface of the year, well, fuck, Sting as a babyface was pretty much the babyface of that company.
Until Hogan got there, it was all Sting.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. So we 4 for 4. We're all consensus. It was Sting. Let's see what the torch readers voted. 1992 Face of the Year. Number 3, Randy Savage.
Of course.
Number 2, Bret Hart. And number 1, Sting.
Ow.
So there you go. Sting swept it. 5 for 5 between the 4 of us and the readers of the torch in 1992 as best babyface of the year. Here we go. Next category, guys. Best TV show of 1992.
I was tossed up a little bit, but when it all came down to it in '92, 6:05 on Saturday night. WCW Saturday Night was the best show from top to bottom for that 1 hour, and you wanted it to be longer actually because you would always hate that they'd have to end at 7:05, but you'd wait for it, and then they'd give you a decent opener. They'd give you a couple of enhancement talents getting beaten by the bigger guys, the better guys. They'd give you a great promo leading you to next week's show about, either the Rock and Roll Express having a fight with, whoever it was going to be, or Jim Cornette would have something to say. And then you'd get a classic main event of like an Arn Anderson taking on a Barry Windham, and it was like perfect. It ended perfectly.
The only thing I would say that I dislike greatly about WCW Saturday Night in 1992, I am absolutely, positively not a fan of Rhubarb Jones. He's like one of my least favorite ring announcers. I hate Rhubarb Jones, man. Fuck
so you're more of a David Penzer guy.
Yeah, I'll take David Penn. I'll take Justin Roberts over
right.
Rhubarb Jones. John Cena. I'll take that over Kenny Omega. The Wrestling Observer.
Yep.
Wrestler of the millennium.
And he lives in North Carolina. I don't know why they say that during every entrance. He lives in North Carolina.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry.
Aaron,
Saturday night was a good show. Aaron, your pick for best TV show of '92?
Well, like I said, I'm going to preface this that I never read any of the Torch Award things or whatever, because honestly, I don't really care about Torch Award. I shouldn't say I don't care about Torch Awards. I didn't want to be jaded, like Nate said.
Right.
But I've been going through, and 92 was fun because like I've been looking at these. I've been watching a lot of older stuff, and the older stuff I'm watching, I'm kind of into this year. And I found, so I've been watching like WCW Saturday Night, like Archie said.
Right.
I've been watching Superstars. I've been watching this stuff, and I found a thing on YouTube that had every episode of this company, and out of everything I went back and rewatched, the best show in 1992 was Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
You fucker. Okay. That was my pick. Smoky Mountain Wrestling is also my pick for best show of 92. And I want to tell you guys something, all right? In 1992 or 1993, this is I'm going to go off on it's not a tangent, it's just a side story. Aaron and my grandmother used to live in Tennessee. All right. And every year for 2 weeks in the summertime, we would go down and stay with our grandma. Okay. And I would be so excited because there was this weird, I was maybe 13, 14 years old, if that. There was this weird pro wrestling program down there that we couldn't get up in Ohio, and it was a Smoky Mountain Wrestling thing. And when we were down there for those 2 weeks, I would watch as much Smoky Mountain Wrestling as I could because it was cool as shit. And then I have to go home and I'd be like, well, what's going to happen to Smoky Mountain wrestlers between now and next year? And it was but it was so cool. And it was just so different from everything we were seeing on TV then. Right. Because back then I was a little kid. I didn't understand territory wrestling. I hadn't watched, all this old stuff from Georgia and all this stuff that I'm very fluent on now. That is the best wrestling TV show of 1992. I agree with Aaron. And I just, when I was thinking about these awards and stuff, I just, you get that nostalgic memory going in your head. Right. But I was just like, I remember being at grandma's house watching Smoky Mountain Wrestling, not knowing what the fuck I was watching, but knowing that it was really cool.
Yeah. And 92, like it gets better. And honestly, if like we do the next time, you go, oh, what's the best show in 93? Guess what? I'm going to tell you, it's fucking Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Like Smoky Mountain was never bad. And I'm up into almost in a 95, and it's stuff I'd never seen before. Like Nate said, it's like a regional promotion. And when it was going on, I hadn't seen it. But watching it now, I thoroughly believe that if I would have been able to watch Smoky Mountain Wrestling in its entirety in '92, like I could sit on YouTube and watch it now,
Right.
I would tell you guys in 1992, Smoky Mountain was the best wrestling company. It was fantastic.
See, that's the only reason it wasn't at the top of my list, and I went with Saturday Night because I only started watching Smoky Mountain Wrestling over the last couple of years, so I didn't have it as a a wrestling show back then.
Yeah.
Had I
See,
had it back then, I would have been all for it.
And see, I understand that, but I wasn't trying to go with
No, I know that.
my childhood thoughts or whatever. I'm going off what I watch now, and
Well,
pretty
I'm a
much.
big kid, Aaron. I'm just
I know,
a big
I understand
kid.
that, but like Smoky Mountain was great because it was just it
It's
didn't
booking
try to
101.
and it didn't attempt. This might sound dumb, I don't know, but Smoky Mountain, Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain didn't try to pretend to be something that it wasn't.
Right.
Kyle, what was your pick for best TV show of '92?
I'm gonna have to go off.
What's that?
I'm gonna go off of what I was watching back then, and it's got prime wrestling.
Well, Primetime was good in '92 also. Yeah.
Because, like I said, 92 was kind of the year that I really started. 91, 92 was the years I started getting into wrestling because of my grandmother. And so I have these fond memories of watching primetime wrestling and stuff, And honestly, you can say what you want to say about, Saturday Night and Smoky Mountain, but, I enjoyed the fact that, like, it broke up. They broke up the matches and stuff. You had the fucking hilarious shit between Monsoon and Heenan.
Well, and I was going to say 92 was the year they started doing the round table where they had like Vince McMahon, Hillbilly Jim, Mr. Perfect, know, and all those guys around the table. They even did the one night angle when Warrior quit to get to the Survivor Series with Mr. Perfect becoming.
Who won't forget? I'll never forget seeing Bobby Heenan walk out with the fucking WCW world title and said, "The real world's champion." You're like, what?
Oh,
yep. I mean, as a kid, all I kept saying it's really, even though it was all blurred out, all I kept thinking as a kid was, "Oh my god, it's the real title! Oh my god, how are they doing this? How is this happening?" And then as an adult, I read up on it and I was like, "Oh, so Ric Flair just like took the belt with him." I understand. Yeah, it's like, fuck you, this is my belt.
So here's what the torch readers voted: best TV show of '92. Number 3, WWF Primetime Wrestling. Number 2, WWF Superstars of Wrestling. And number 1, guess what? Smoky Mountain Wrestling came in number 1 with the torch readers in 1992. Wow.
That actually surprised me.
Me too.
Me.
Damn cheaters! What you read the result? No, I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding.
All right, guys. Next category, 1992 Archie Match of the Year.
And this is again where I said I was biased. For me, it would have to be the 1992 Royal Rumble. The match in itself was star power after star power. There was nobody in that match that didn't deserve to be there. You had the feud going on between Randy Savage and Jake Roberts. So when Savage got in the ring and he chased Jake out, you had Roddy Piper coming off fresh from the Intercontinental title match that he just won and having his a mini feud with Flair in the ring. Hogan and Sid Justice battling for power, who was the bigger name. And then Flair going from number 3 all the way to the World Heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect Royal. It's the best Royal Rumble.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's a perfect Royal Rumble. that they could have put together.
One of the coolest spots, and it's not even. I shouldn't even say spot because there wasn't any like physical thing. One of the coolest things they do in it is I don't even know if it was intentional. It probably was because Pat Patterson was a fucking genius. But when Flair comes out as number 3, DiBiase's leaving, and DiBiase's leaving. Flair's coming in, and they kind of look at each other, and you guys might disagree with this, but it's like DiBiase's walking out from being the top heel in the company to Flair coming in to being
It's like a passing of the torch.
That symbolism was not lost on me. No, I thought that years ago. Yeah, that's absolutely.
Like DiBiase was never the champ, but that whole time he was there, he was the top.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah.
And let's not forget.
I'm just glad I wasn't the only person that ever saw. Saw that.
It's noticeable.
This
Go ahead, Kyle.
is one of my favorite Bobby Heenan things of all time. And he's like, Piper.
Oh God, it's fantastic.
Like,
it's a kilt. It's not a skirt.
It's not a skirt. It's a kilt. Then he turns around. He's like, "Why you no good skirt wearing?"
I love when Flair comes out. He's just like, "God damn it, God damn it, God damn it!" And Monsoon's like, "Nobody's ever won the Royal Rumble that came out from 1 to 9 through 1 through 5." And Bobby's just like, "God damn it, God damn it!" He's like, "Do you hear what I said? I'm not listening to you, Monsoon." Like,
it's not fair to Flair.
So, Aaron, what was your pick
for match of the year? 92.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jushin Liger versus Brian Pillman from Super Brawl.
Wow,
a fantastic match.
Great match.
Fantastic match.
Great match.
And an eye-opening match for American wrestling fans at that point. You know, there had been nothing like that on American soil probably since Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask.
It's what made me a Liger fan. It's what made me want to watch more of Liger.
That match starts out, and nobody in that building has any idea what's about to happen. And they're watching it, and by the end of it, nobody's sitting down.
Yeah.
It's flawless. And even like, do you ever hear like a point where like you can tell like a commentator isn't just collecting his paycheck? Like every commentator is going to go out there and try to be like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing you've ever seen." You know, that's their job. But
yeah,
Jesse Ventura in that match, as that's going, it's just like, Jesus Christ, like this is like if he could stand and be like, "This is fucking fantastic," he would stand up and say, "This is fucking fat." Yeah, like he's like, "This is amazing."
It's like with Jesse with this. It's like when the Spirit Squad screws Shawn Michaels and JR's like, "This is bullshit." Like he got lost in the story.
Bullshit. You know? Yeah, he just got caught up in it, and it's a fucking clinic.
It is.
And if anybody wants to talk about how do I say it? Like, oh well, you gotta have these spots and this that. Like, you know, like you guys were talking about like choreographed matches and shit now or whatever. It's like, why don't you sit down, fucking Ray Phoenix and fucking Pac, and be like, "Hey guys, how about you watch what Brian Pillman and Jushin Liger did in '92?"
Right.
And instead of just doing what fuck all that you're doing right now, watch what these guys did. Like Brian Pillman was able to do all this shit. Jushin Liger was able to do all this shit, and it looked believable. And they looked like fucking athletes when they did it. They didn't look like fucking gymnasts.
Kyle, what is your vote for match of the year for 1992?
We've heard a long time Vince McMahon doesn't fully get behind until he truly falls in love with them. And I think this match that kind of started the whole shift. We don't need the big guys to be the main event. I think it's Bulldog versus Bret Hart.
Very fantastic match.
It is a good match.
And you know what?
Hey.
The Bulldog was going to win the title whether he wanted to
or not.
Yeah.
And he was high on coke, according to Bret in his book.
Yeah. But
What a
no,
wonder-
no.
What a wonderful thing to say about your deceased brother-in-law in your book.
I
He was high on coke.
look. I don't mean to go off on a tangent here.
No, in his book, honestly, in his book, Brett says that Neidhart, he had been trying to call Davey to talk about the match. He couldn't get a hold of him, and Neidhart finally called him, and Brett was like, "Hey, Neidhart, where's Davey?" And he goes, "Oh, he's been doing a bunch of, but he's just been doing nothing but coke for the last month." And Brett's like, "How do you know that?" And Neidhart's like, "Well, he's been doing it with me."
Right.
Brett one of those. What?
I love the honesty. That answer.
He's been doing it with me.
Brett's just one of those guys that no matter what, he's gonna bitch. He is. I'm serious.
I know, but that's one of my favorite wrestling stories.
He's the kind of guy that if you gave him a chocolate cake, he'd be pissed because it isn't fucking vanilla.
This cake was stale.
What am I supposed to do with this cupcake? But no, I agree that match is. I mean,
No, it's a great match.
Absolutely fantastic.
About this in front of 80,000 people, like
in the Bulldogs' home country.
Crazy. It's amazing to me that SummerSlam doesn't get talked about more than it does.
Right.
Because behind WrestleMania 3, like that was their biggest fucking show to date.
Mm-hmm. My favorite match of 1992, my vote for match of the year, is Savage and Flair at WrestleMania 8. There's a big theme going through 92 for me, and it involves Randy Savage.
Me as well, with Ric Flair.
I love the match, and you know what? I mean, and I'm not discrediting any match anybody else brought up because they're all fantastic matches with fantastic stories. And that Royal Rumble, you know, I'm not even saying, I mean, Christ, like I said, it's the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, but Savage and Flair at WrestleMania 8 is, and I want anybody here to tell me if you get what I'm saying or if I sound stupid. But the WrestleMania 8 match between Savage and Flair almost doesn't even feel like a WWF match.
Right.
You know, does that what I'm saying make sense? Like it feels like a territory match.
The whole
it feels like a
storyline.
territory feud. It feels like a territory match.
The
It is just raw. It's so raw, and I love it.
The way that feud popped up from Randy finishing his
and it wasn't even supposed to happen. It wasn't even supposed to happen.
Right. And now they're going with Justice versus Hogan instead of Flair versus Hogan, which was the payoff. And all of a sudden, Ric Flair decides to come out and say, "I slept with Miss Elizabeth." Didn't say it in a normal. He literally, I have proof.
The only thing you're going to see in those pictures, the only thing she's wearing in those pictures is a staple in her belly.
Right.
Like talking about, you know, nude pictures of her.
Right.
I just like, to me, that is this year, and that's why, man, it's just savage for me because
same with me with Flair because everything revolved around those two wrestlers.
And Randy, and I definitely want Aaron's thought on this, and I know I'm elaborating because
go ahead.
When we record this show, people, I drink, and as I drink, I get more wordy. But anyway, Randy in 92 in the WWF essentially got to be a territory worker because if you look, he had 2 real feuds in 92. I'm going to erase the Warrior thing, even though he got a good match out of Warrior at SummerSlam in the middle of the year. He had that amazing feud with Flair. And then he followed the year up or finished the year in one of the greatest feuds they ever did with Roberts. And Aaron, what do you think? Do you think I'm off base? Like Randy just had such a good year in 92.
And they were feuds based in reality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was
WWE
like
WWE didn't do a lot of feuds based in reality.
It was
They do
WWF doing
feud-
territory wrestling.
They do feuds where Earthquake smashed his snake and then made snake burgers out of it, and this,
Yeah.
that, and the other thing. Or oh, this guy beat me up and cut my. I always just said cut my hair, but we just did like hair. But you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
there would be things like that
This
where
guy,
okay.
and in '92, Savage
In
was like,
'92, Randy Savage is great because you know what? If somebody told me that they fucked my wife and told a bunch of people that they fucked my wife, I'd want to kick their ass too.
Right.
Okay. And then if somebody came to my wedding and fucked it all up and then smacked my wife in the middle of the ring,
Right.
I'd want to beat his fucking ass too.
Well,
like
yeah,
Randy had
I'm sorry.
Randy.
I'm sorry. I went opposite there. He started the year with Jake,
Right.
and then went into Flair. Yeah, I kind of went opposite there.
What I was going to interject is that if you think about it, neither one of those feuds were planned. Jake and Undertaker were supposed to feud with Warrior. Because it was the whole Jake teaching Warrior how to beat the casket, and then Warrior left after that. So Jake and Undertaker went towards Savage.
And if you want to watch some terrible shit, watch fucking Jake Snake trying to teach Ultimate Warrior how to do anything. That's trash, man.
Here's what's interesting about '92 and
They were doing coke too, Aaron.
Oh yeah.
you look at 8 when Savage is quote unquote the guy, but he's still behind Hulk.
Right.
92, fucking Savage, I think, passed Hulk in popularity because people at 92 were like, all right, enough of this fucking Hulkamania shit. Like, they started to really,
But see, Hogan knew it, though, Kyle, but he refused to move out of the way of the main event. And if you think about it, when you look at modern-day wrestling in the same regards, CM Punk being the Savage and John Cena being the Hogan at WrestleMania 29, it was Punk defending the world title in the 5th match and John Cena versus Rock for no title in the main event. So it plays itself out that Hogan refused to move out of the main event. So Savage said, well, you know what? Fuck it. It's WrestleMania. I'll make this the main event.
And you know what? And I agree with you, but I think, again, I'm trying to fucking rationalize Vince McMahon, but I think the thought process might have been at that time was, we really fucking screwed the pooch at fucking WrestleMania 18. We should have had Rock versus Hogan go on last. This is this generation's, Rock versus Hogan with Rock.
Right.
Let's not put it on,
But the biggest thing, all right, WrestleMania 8, to talk about it for a second. The biggest thing they were protecting by putting on Hogan last was that they knew Warrior was coming out to save Hogan. Yeah. That could have been done in the middle of the show. It didn't have to be at the ending. I would have much rather seen Savage get hoisted up in the air with the world title than to see Hogan and Warrior celebrate.
The Torch readers for '92. Let's see what they picked. And I'm sorry that I got my Savage feuds backwards chronologically.
You're fine.
It's okay, I fixed it.
Thank you, Aaron.
I knew what I was trying to say. But anyway, the Torch readers said number 3 for '92 was the War Games match of 1992.
Okay.
Was that Sting Squadron versus the Dangerous Alliance?
Yes.
That's fucking fantastic.
Number 2 was the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And number 1, Pillman and Liger.
Yeah.
Nice one, Aaron. Nice one.
So, guys, let's go into our next category here. Best feud of 1992.
Sting was the best babyface, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to pick how many I was right at.
Aaron's got to stroke his ego right quick.
I want to win.
All right, best feud of '92. Archie, go.
For me, it had to be Sting versus Vader. Those two signed a blood pact at the ending of '91 to have every match they possibly could against each other.
Well, I really think that, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I really think that a lot of people think that Sting is synonymous with Flair.
He's not. Right. I agree with you, though. I know what you're saying.
No, but to me, I agree with you. I think Sting is synonymous with Vader in my brain.
Right.
Like in my wrestling fandom, Sting is actually more synonymous with Vader than he is with Flair.
Well, because from 91 to 93, Flair was in WWF. So
yeah,
it was Sting and
from
Vader,
91. Yeah, that
you
it's,
know what
it's
I mean?
essentially those
3
guys.
years, it was just Sting and Vader. And then you had Luger as the world champion. And every now and then he'd pass it on
And
to
Ron
somebody else.
Simmons. Ron Simmons was in there.
But the two main guys in WCW, you had the monster heel Vader and the flagship bearer of the company, Sting. And whether it was a strap match or those hokey Halloween Havoc spin the wheel, make the deal, picture videos, or they worked well together. And it shows because throughout their entire WCW career, it always went back to Sting and Vader.
Yeah. They had that Burger King of Death match or whatever.
Yeah.
Aaron,
it was
what was
White
your
Castle of Fear. I was joking.
Yes.
what's your pick, Aaron, for best feud of '92?
We just elaborated on it a lot. It's Ric Flair versus Randy Savage.
And that is no spoiler here. That is obviously my pick, seeing as I've elaborated on it a lot in this show. That is definitely my pick for feud of the year. Kyle?
Vince McMahon versus Ultimate Warrior.
Kyle goes for backstage feud of the year.
Good shit, pal. Or maybe bad shit.
Versus Flair.
All right, so let's see what the Torch readers said. Best.
Are we going to pause after this one?
We can. We can take a break. Best feud of 1992. Number 3, Vader and Sting. Number 2, in the USWA, Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett versus the Moondogs. If you stop it. If you haven't seen it, I'm a Memphis guy. But anyway, if you haven't
like
seen
it too, but come on,
it really is
'92
good.
Memphis.
And number 1, my boys, Ric Flair and Randy Savage.
Oh, that's another one I can circle.
Oh.
So now I guess we will take a break, if everybody's okay with that.
I guess.
I got to poop and smoke.
When we return, we still have Best Pay-Per-View, Rising Star, Career Tailspin, Tag Team, Best Promos, Worst Promos, Most Underutilized, and Most Overpushed of 1992. We'll try to make it under an hour. Jesus Christ. The We Can't Wrestle podcast will return after this.
Wait.